2022 Mini Cooper SE. Huge mistake or best car we've ever bought? This is my 2-week owner's review. As you can probably tell, I'm not an electric car fanboy, or at least I wasn't 2 weeks ago. In this video, I'm going to go over what it's like owning an electric car for 2 weeks so far, and go over some of the pros and cons. Let's begin with range. How far can you travel before you have to plug it in? BMW quote 114 miles or 183 kilometers on a full tank of electricity. They're actually being pretty conservative with those numbers. Even in 2 weeks, we found that we can get a far higher range than that. Obviously, it depends on your driving habits. If you've got a heavy right foot, then you're going to get a little bit less. If you get a very light foot, wife, you're going to get way more range than that. But if you have a daily commute of 200 plus kilometers, then the Mini is not for you. But it's not been designed for you. The Mini's been designed for short commutes, zipping about town, getting your shopping, or even the odd bit of fun on a track. And yes, it will be very good on a track. Let's talk cost versus convenience. The Mini does come with a 110 charger, as in you can just plug it into the wall anywhere, plug it into the car, leave it charging overnight, and you'll get a small percentage of the power back into the battery. If you get a level 2 charger that we're supposed to get, I'll talk about that later, then you can get a full charge in about 6 to 7 hours, I believe, maybe a little bit more. Cost of electricity varies depending on where you are in the world. Canada is not too bad for overnight off-peak charging. So plugging the Mini in at night and letting it charge overnight would cost a couple of dollars to get back to fully charged. Let's do a little experiment. Starting up my cold truck with its 5.7 V8 Hemi, that probably cost about $2. I know that's an extreme example, but you get the idea. So we know electric cars are cheap to run, but that's not necessarily the reason we bought this electric Mini. So let's take a closer look and then we'll go for a wee spin. As you can see, Mini have not messed about with the overall looks of this electric version. Still looks like a Mini. A little update in the front. They haven't gone too mad with making the whole front flat like the Tesla has done. So it still looks like a normal car, and it is actually based on the normal Mini. So this is more of a retro fit electric car, unlike maybe the Iconics, which has been custom made to be electric. Boot space is the same as a regular Mini, i.e. virtually none, but that's okay, it is a Mini. You get more storage space down here, and that is the charger that comes with the car. It's quite a beefy charger, but it is just a 110 outlet. And honestly, from empty, that could take pretty much 24 hours to charge. We're waiting on the level 2 charger coming. Interior, simply stunning. BMW build quality. Lots of nice soft surfaces and all the gadgets you could ever eat. It looks very similar to your standard 2022 Mini models. Only difference is really you're going to have little green/yellow accents to remind you it's electric. Rear passenger space is obviously limited, but you can still fit a couple of adults in there for a short trip. But the main reason we bought this car was how it drove, so let's go for a spin. The first thing you'll notice is how quiet it is in here. For example, we are now running. All I have to do is release the parking brake. It's electric, not keen, but you get used to it. And then put it in drive. Now if you listen carefully, you can hear a little spaceship noise. That will raise in pitch as you speed up, but only up to about 40 kilometers an hour, I've discovered, maybe about 25 miles per hour. And that's a simulated sound to warn pedestrians that there's someone creeping about in a car. You hear it going up, and we're moving. Let's go for a drive. Now at this point I would be changing gear, or I would be hearing, if it was an automatic, I'd be hearing the gears changing. All you're hearing now is a bit of road noise from the tyres. So in that respect it kind of feels like a normal car. In fact, it feels very similar to an automatic at this point. But obviously the difference is, you technically only have one gear. So that's the first thing, is how quiet it is compared to a petrol or diesel vehicle. Very quiet and very smooth. No difference in speed when you're changing gear like you would in a normal car. It just goes and stops. Now you would think that would ruin the driving experience, but it really doesn't. The second thing that you need to get used to is the auto regen function, which basically means when you lift off your accelerator pedal, it kind of acts like a brake, but what it's actually doing is using the inertia from the vehicle to put charge back into your battery. So it's like the motor works in reverse when you lift off the gas. I keep saying gas, you get the idea. So I'm approaching a roundabout at the speed limit. If I lift off harshly, it actually feels like I'm braking quite hard. I've not touched the brake and I've stopped. And I've gained an extra quarter of a mile in power or something. I don't know the exact figures. I thought it was going to take me a while to get used to that 1 foot, 1 pedal driving, but I get used to it on the way home after we picked it up. When you know that you're actually creating energy from your braking or your non-braking, it kind of turns it into a game and a bit of a challenge to see if you can extend your range on your guessometer. Yes, that's what it's called. It's a guessometer. It kind of guesses at how much range you've got left depending on your current driving style. So if you drive like a lunatic, your guessometer is going to freak out and say you've got 10 miles left. Which will be the case when I'm driving, not the case when my wife's driving. What's the third thing that you need to get used to? When you put the foot down, it just goes, and it will just keep going. In silence. Well, near silence. Obviously you still get road noise, but you don't have the engine noise. Any gear, I'm doing 60 kilometers an hour, honest. I'm going to drop it down to less. And when you put the foot down in the pedal, it just pulls. It's quite phenomenal. As I say, this is my first, or as I've said, this is my first electric car experience, and it's blowing my mind. Spaceship noise is back. Actually sounds a bit like a jet taking off, you know, from the inside point of view. And then it goes away about this speed, and then you floor it, and then you slow down using the auto regeneration. It truly is a new experience for me, an experience that I really like. I think the main thing I've discovered is Electric cars are not what I thought, or at least the electric Mini is not what I thought electric cars would be like. I was expecting complete automation, complete boredom, and the car just taking over from the driving experience. But with the Mini specifically, I'm actually enjoying this more than my wife's last Mini. It was a Cooper S with like 200 horsepower, 2 litre turbo engine, manual gearbox. Now, the manual gearbox was what I thought was going to ruin this whole experience. But this is not like an automatic car. With an automatic car, you still feel and hear it changing gear, whereas this is pretty much just like a first gear in a car, you know, your most powerful gear, never having to change it. You're just driving about in first gear, but you don't get the engine screaming at you for more gears. So don't feel that modern electric cars are just ruining the driving experience. They're really not. And it is the way things are moving, so don't cross it off your list if you're thinking about one. But also make sure you don't have your experience ruined by test driving a garbage electric car. So let's head home and I'll give you my little roundup of how I feel about this electric Mini. Now, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but so far, I pretty much love this little car. So much so, seriously considering an electric truck as my next truck. That's how good it is. Downsides? Not many, to be honest. Obviously the range is low, but that's not a problem, considering this is my wife's car. She could probably commute to work 2 or 3 times before she would actually have to recharge it. Talking of which, this Mini is supposed to come with a level 2 charger as part of the Mini Canada promotion for August. We were expecting it to be in the trunk when we picked up the car, and then we were told a week to 10 days. 2 weeks, still no confirmed date of when that level 2 charger will arrive, so that's a bit of a gripe, but not against the car, that's against the company or the dealership. So I'm hoping that they sort that out pretty quickly before it ruins our experience of Mini. It's not going to ruin our experience of this Mini because it is really great. Only 2 weeks in, I will update you again after a month of ownership and do a bit of a more in-depth review on all its little features, shall we say. So thanks for watching today. Normal programming will resume on the next video. It'll involve lots of petroleum and noise. Things are a-changing. Bye bye.